What's going on, YouTube? It's okmall. We're back again with another build guide. This time we're going to be tackling the Battlemage. Now this particular build is centered around stabs and a particular talent that they have, or a passive that they have, which is called a Battle Trance. The way this build works as a whole is to cast spells in front of enemies to increase your weapon damage, your crit chance, and ultimately make your stabs hit like a freaking truck. It's got to be one of the strongest builds in the entire game. It is a ton of fun to play. Now the build that we're going to show off today isn't something that you have to stick to a T. You do have freedom to move around stat points, dive into different skills. Don't think you have to follow this exactly. So as usual, let's go ahead and kickstart it by talking about the stats that I went into and kind of why I went into them. Starting off, I went into perception. I'm trying to increase my accuracy so that hail of blows with its -5% accuracy will hopefully hit every single time. Now in hindsight, I might have gone a little too much into perception, even though the extra crit chance is always lovely to have. This particular build should crit quite often when a combination of different passive skills that it has to offer. But ultimately, yes, I went in 20 points into perception, got my accuracy up to 111%. Probably a little bit overkill, but every point invested over 100% in accuracy does decrease the target's dodge chance, which is lovely. And currently I'm sitting at 0% fumble with the way things are loaded out right now. In hindsight, what I probably could have done is maybe done 20 points into perception, dove back into agility if I wanted to get a little bit more counter, and maybe if I don't want to do that, I can dive into strength. I mean, whatever you want to do, you can make it, you can change it. Maybe even a little bit more HP. We're sitting at 125 HP right now. However you want to see it, however you want to do it, you can make some changes here. I will run through the stats and kind of show you guys what I have currently, so you have an idea what this run out or loadout looks like, as well as the inventory, and kind of show you what it's, all the gear makes this build look like in the stat sheet. Starting off with combat, we have a base main hand damage of 28. Main hand efficiency is at 2.5 because of agility. We got 32% armor penetration, 111% accuracy, 22 base crit chance, 70% crit efficiency. Counter is at 26.5 and 0% chance to fumble. Cooldowns are a little lower, but not as low as you would want to see them. But either way, 86 there. And we'll talk about cooldowns later. That's why I got sudden lunge. I found sudden lunge to be super effective for this particular build to try to keep our main damaging skill, step aside and hail of blows, off of cooldown. Vision's high and bonus range is high, again because of perception. Bleed chance, we actually got lucky with the vampiric staff. Probably one of the best ones you're going to be looking out for. Otherwise, there are plenty of tier 5 staves out there that are going to be great for this build, but if you do get this one, probably just end up using it. This one comes off to a knockback, it's got stagger, and it's got that 26% life drain because of this staff. Really, really good. 26% is amazing. Under survival, another thing that this one does is it does decrease your health restoration, hence why there's only 4%. I actually got a healing efficiency. Well, we didn't get health restoration, which is fine. The healing efficiency part is what I was looking for. This is the coefficient of replenishing health occurring by any means. So the higher that is, the better my life drain sucks life out of the target. Energy restoration is 36%. Average protection is 7 with a block chance of 12. Now keep in mind, these numbers get a little bit higher due to passives inside of the staff skill tree, like the unwavering stance add more block chance, block power. This one here will add block chance and dodge chance for using spells, as well as full and partial dodges and blocks granting counter and magical power. So quite a few things work in unison together as you're doing damage with these with the stabs. Now this is the problem I had with the build, is our base dodge not very high. We're sitting at only 36, and I rely heavily on elusiveness, and as you can tell, it's plus 15% dodge per stack, and that's because of a high perception skill. Now, granted, if you go into agility, you'll get an additional 5%, so your base will go up even further from 36 to 41. On top of a little bit less dodge per stack, but still it's pretty solid at 15%. And again, when in combat, it is even higher than that, just due to the fact of some of these passives once they start racking up stacks. Bleed is 40, control is 31, and move resistance is 38%. Again, if we have a lot of dodge, a lot of this is is adequate. We're going to either fully dodge or partially dodge most of the enemy's attacks. Moving on down, pain resistance, fatigue, experience, rep. Damage taken with 100% here. We have 19% physical resistance, 25 nature, and 12 magic, on top of 10 poison, 7 rending, and 15 psionic resistance. The magic tree here doesn't really matter for us. Most of our damage comes from melee, not from spells. Next up, let's kind of cover a few characters that you can utilize for this build. I would say that basically any character can be used, but there are some outliers that are going to be a little bit better than others. All right, starting off, there is Velmir with his trait. Killing mini bosses replenishes morale and sanity. If there's any mini boss or boss within vision, will apply all enemies with more damage taken. That can be helpful, but only in certain situations like fighting bosses. It does grant you more experience for each mini boss killed for the first time, more reputation, and 2 stats for each boss. Currently 2 bosses in the game. That'd be nice to get a little extra stat points. Is it the best when paired with a Battlemage? Not too sure, but extra stat points are always nice. Then there's Yorgrim. Yorgrim would probably be a pretty good fit, just due to the fact that between Yorgrim and Hilda, they both get their unique runic altar that allows them to increase their weapon damage. When you pair that with a battle mage, you can increase your weapon damage even further, which ultimately allows you to hit even harder. Yorgrim allows for getting trophies from mini bosses, which will help you with your reward, your reputation, and also grant you additional stat points and more weapon damage for every 3 trophies delivered for the first time. And you can do this up to 5 times, which is again 5 more stat points and 10% more weapon damage. So a solid choice. Next up is Arna. I never really considered using her, but if you can keep your morale and sanity high, so you're always able to pop the heroism, optimism, or prudence buffs. So let's face it, if you get heroism, you can pump out a lot of damage very, very quickly. And one of the few things about a battle mage is that you can take on a lot of enemies at one time. So you can just roll up into a crowd of 4 to 5 enemies. If heroism pops, heck of a lot of damage, and just start going to town. So not a bad choice at all. Derwin, which is the one we used, keep in mind when I first got this character started, it was prior to the 9.2 update when we're using Derwin's previous passive, which increased the damage taken to the enemy. Now with the changes, you can get additional ability points and stat points for every 3 ability points invested into the survival skill tree. So when you do start putting points into survival, you will be able to get a couple ability points and a couple of stat points for free. Just nice to see. Next up is Yana. She's probably the easiest one to start off with, since she starts off with Staves, Electro, and Magic Mastery. But ultimately, I don't really see much use in using her. Her trait mainly increases the magic side of this, and we mainly do melee damage, and the magic side isn't as useful in my opinion, so I'm just going to move on. Next up would be Leo, in my opinion, top tier for this particular build. We don't even have to put any points into Vitality, and we're going to be a very tanky, staff-wielding battle mage. We will be able to increase our weapon damage a little bit here as well, since we're going to be putting at least 4 points between Magic Mastery and Electro. Other than that, we'll increase our magical power by putting points into the staff skill tree, and increase our maximum health and energy by putting all the rest of the points into utility trees. So very, very solid choice. Then we have Mahir. He could have some usefulness here. Granting additional ability points for each 6 points invested in any skill tree. Make use of this. I'm sure it'll be very nice. You put 6 points into Staves, you get an extra 1. You put 6 points into Athletics, get an extra 1. 6 points into Warfare, 6 points into Survival. You get the idea. You're going to get extra skill or extra ability points each time you do so. Plus the added fatigue resistance, and you'll probably never be fatigued. Then lastly, Hilda, I would say another very, very solid choice just because of her Bone Charm. Her Bone Charm has a lot of unique bonuses that you can get that's going to help you with this build. A couple things of note would be additional weapon damage, negative damage taken, dodge chance, life drain, and energy drain. Personally, I would look into either energy drain, life drain, or both, and then either weapon damage, damage taken reduction, or dodge chance. But ultimately, who you choose is entirely up to you. And keep in mind, if you do pick somebody like Velmir, who does not start off with Staves, or Yorgrim for that matter, whomever you start off with, if you're going to choose somebody who doesn't start off with Staves, you will have to take a trip all the way down to unlock Staves a little early. Otherwise, you're going to have a little bit of a fun time clearing these dungeons without any staff skills. Next up, let's go ahead and cover gear. Starting off, we have the Vampiric Staff. This is a unique item that can drop off of Sanguine Mages, so don't expect it just to land in your lap. You might end up having to use tier 5 staffs from Bryn instead, but if you get super lucky and get this, use it. I went with the Aristocrat Doublets for the extra dodge, crit avoidance, and some counter. You have a couple different choice options here. This is just the one I went with. Now, I went for the Captain Waistband and the Tide Gloves for a little bit more crit efficiency, since we tend to crit quite often. So with these two on, it does get our crit efficiency up to 70%. I kept this for a very long time, mainly because I couldn't find a better ring that would drop from one of the vendors, so it's just what we have. Though, yeah, you can probably put something better here, let's be honest. I went for the Ruby Ring and the Ruby Amulet here. I'm not really too sure as to why. I think I was still trying to, increase my accuracy at the time and just never came back around to swap these out for something else. But I think our accuracy is a little overkill at the moment. These probably could have been a Morian Ring here, maybe a Morian Ring there, add a little bit more weapon damage. Could have probably gone for something that gives us more HP here. Maybe even the one that gives us a little bit extra crit chance. And the same thing, we probably could have just swapped these out with something different. It's entirely, up to you guys to decide what you want to go for. We went for the Jiving Cape, which got crit chance, counter chance. Lovely to see. Went for the Mercenary Captain's Headwear, which gives us crit chance, crit efficiency, and more dodge. Lovely, lovely. Again, we had that we already talked about, Captain Waistband. That's that counter. It's that negative fumble, more crit efficiency. And then we have the Mage Hunter boots with that dodge of 10%, negative fumble, and more counter chance. So some of these I would say you're going to want all the time, which would be the headgear, the boots, as well as probably the crit efficiency ones. I think those ones are kind of solid for this build. The chest could probably be swapped out. Maybe the Fencer doublet, add some weapon damage from that. That'd be pretty dope. And then on the offhand, there's nothing there. I just got a net, a crowbar. Next up, let's go ahead and cover the abilities we have unlocked. So starting off with stats, we have Destabilizing Hits. This says that staggering, dazing, or knocking targets back with a staff will apply them with more damage taken, less magical resistance, and less nature resistance for 5 turns, and it can stack 3 times. So that's 30% at 3 stacks of more damage taken and less magic and nature resistance. Next up, we have Hail of Blows, which is probably the strongest hitting skill in the entire Battlemage's arsenal. Even though it gives you negative 15% weapon damage and negative accuracy, if all 3 strikes hit and do a crit, the enemies are probably going to be dead in one shot. Outside of higher HP enemies, they're probably going to be dead. This also will give you energy drain to the first strike and 75% daze chance to the second. If both strikes, it'll deliver a third strike with negative 15% weapon damage and a high knockback chance. Step Aside is a nice 3-tile charge attack, which will increase your weapon damage by an additional 40% and have a high knockback chance. Also, will reduce the ability tree's cooldowns and cooldowns of all spells by 2 for each enemy knocked back. Then we have Battle Trance. This is gotta be the single most important skill for the staff's skill tree when you are pairing it with magical skills. And those 2 skills are gonna be Jolt and Seal of Power. That's all you really need to get this thing stacked up. Essentially what you're going to do is use Seal of Power followed by Jolt, and then cast Jolt a few times before the enemies get to you, and then you're going to rack up enough weapon damage to start laying down some attacks. But let's just read through it. If there are enemies within vision, using spells grants you 8 weapon damage and 3 crit for 10 turns, stacks up to 5 times. Each received strike or shot, including the misses, hence why we like to get either block or dodge on this, grants you negative 3 damage taken, and negative 3 backfire chance for 10 turns. Now we have Now or Never. This is another really good one, defensive based. It says that full or partial dodges and blocks will grant you 10 counter, 10 magical power, and this lasts 4 turns, and it stacks up to 3 times. The next part of this is using spells will grant you more dodge and more blocks. So both of these go hand in hand. You're going to want to use spells in between some of the attacks that you have just to make sure this stays stacked up the whole time. This is the Unwavering Stance. It is just that. It's a stance. Grants you nature resistance, magical resistance, counter, block power recovery, the whole 9 yards. It's got it, right? Triumph, this is another great skill. Killing enemies with salves will grant you 12% crit chance. And we kill enemies quickly, so this stacks up super fast. Also grants critical strikes, additional 50% energy drain, and allows them to reduce all cooldowns in your arsenal by 1 turn. So the more you crit, the more you can use your skills. Peacemaker is another one here, delivers a strike to all adjacent enemies. So it's like a free hit to everybody all around you. And then you can reposition one tile away. It'll grant you negative 10% backfire, negative 10 ability energy cost, and negative 5 fumble for 5 turns for each enemy hit by the strike, and stacks up to 3 times. Moving on, we have Warcry, pretty straightforward. You yell, you deal more damage whenever you either daze or confuse the enemy. Underneath athletics, we have disengage, pretty straightforward. Not this time. We need both of these skills to unlock the prerequisites after the fact. Dash, again, just get away from the enemies. Sudden lunge. I cannot stress enough how valuable this skill was to me in this particular playthrough. There are times where Hail of Blows only hits once, and then you have the next 2 that are a miss, so not good, right? There are times where Step Aside is on cooldown, and now you can only use regular melee attacks to damage the enemies. Sudden Lunge fixes that issue a little bit. Use Sudden Lunge, decrease all cooldowns by 2, and hopefully you crit, which would then decrease cooldowns even more because you crit with a Staff Strike. So we're trying to like get Hail of Blows off of cooldown as quickly as possible. And as of right now, with my current loadout, it's a 7-round cooldown. So again, Step Aside is another one of those ones where we can reduce cooldowns by 2. So if you can reduce cooldowns, and honestly, after you use Sudden Lunge once, I think it was like a 2 or 3 round cooldown automatically just by using it. So pretty freaking nice. Then we have No Time to Linger, which also increases the weapon damage and decreases the cooldown for Sudden Lunge. So yeah, very, very nice skill to have. On top of the fact that it also increases your accuracy, decreases fumble, and increases crit chance for anybody's dazed, stunned, staggered, confused, immobilized, or bleeding. And then obviously elusiveness. The dodge chance here stacks off of perception, hence why it's plus 15. We're getting additional dodge for our perception. Negative 4.5 damage, and that's based off of vitality. So this is like our main defensive skill that we have in our arsenal. Armored combat, I didn't put any points in here, but I would say if you're running to a situation where you can't, like elusiveness is on cooldown or something, this one would be really good to have. It would increase the enemy's fumble, decrease their accuracy, while also increasing your dodge chance for a couple of turns. But I did go through 3 tier 5s and took my time, so you can manage this build without it. Under survival, now granted, like I said before, we started Derwin before the 9.2 update, so I didn't put as many points into survival. If you are playing as Derwin and you want to mix in some survival skills to give you a couple extra stat points, a couple extra ability points, feel free, but this is all I did here. We got the Pathfinder skill for more damage against enemies, more dodge and less accuracy on the enemies. This is going to be for more pain, sanity, morale change. We got this one for more maximum health resto. Because we have that vampiric staff, we're going to need a little extra health restoration. Make a halt. This one he just starts off with. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have got it. Cauterized wounds was nice to make sure that during the dungeons where we get bled a lot, we're able to get rid of it. Then we have magic mastery, pretty straightforward. Seal of power, when coupled with a magical spell like Jolt, will change seal of power to seal of electromancy, applying plus 15% electromagnetic power, plus 20% weapon damage, which will be dealt as shock, negative 4% backfire chance, and negative 4 fumble. Then we have this one, which is another one of those skills that gives you more weapon damage. Every time you use spells, you will grant additional weapon damage, additional crit for 4 turns, stacking 3 times. Strikes, shots, and using attack skills will grant you more magical power. And then lastly is electromancy. We have Jolts, and we have residual shards. Now Jolt, we just need to use it to get the stab's battle trance up into stacks. And then we have residual charge. Using the ability tree skills will grant you plus 10% weapon damage for 4 turns, also dealt as shock, while also inadvertently decreasing the enemy's shock resistance. So let's kind of show this off before we start covering like per level skill, right? So these guys aren't considered enemies. I think I can still make this work if I just... Here, let me save it so I can get everybody's kind of mad at me. So if we're doing this, here's the weapon damage, right? If we start off with Seal of Power, it goes up by 8, and that's only because of, show the skill off again, a body and spirit. But if these guys were mad at me, let's say, it's 8, and now he's in vision here, so we can fall back, You see how it went up by a lot more? I think it went up by 16. Because it's 8 here. And 8 there. Plus additional crit chance. So we just continue to do that. This one isn't going to work because he can't see me. 7. Watch out for that backfire too. We're up to 140. $156. 164. All right, so 164 seems to be basically the max right now. We have this one maxed out at 5 stacks. Underneath Magical Mastery, we have this one maxed out at the 3 stacks. Crit chance maxed out at 46. The only times those get higher is when you start killing enemies, you get more crit chance. Plus, you need to do damage when you stagger, daze, or knock back enemies. You'll increase their damage taken, which inadvertently makes this even stronger. The target shock resistance being reduced. Right now it's negative 20, so it's more electrical damage he would take. Plus he's taking more damage here, so it's another plus 10%. Then don't forget about War Cry. So we did daze him. Up to 174% now. And then our bread and butter move right here. 90 crits. So 51 crit chance. 90% crit efficiency. 26 counter, 0 fumble, 111% accuracy at 174% weapon damage. So the build's solid. Absolutely solid. And I really enjoy this one. It's probably my favorite build to play, bar none. It's always going to be the most fun I ever have in this, outside of maybe critting with dual wielding daggers or something. Next up, let's discover what skills to get at which levels. All right, here's an overview of every single level and what I recommend to get at which level. I also put these skills together without Derwin in mind, because Derwin obviously gets a couple extra skill points and ability points when you put more skills into survival. Because as you can tell, this is level 22, where we're not actually level 22. But I figure I'd do it that way just so if you guys are playing a character who does not get extra ability points, you can still kind of put this together and figure out where to go. But having said that, there are a few skills that I would say get these at these particular levels 100%, and everything else kind of fill it in as you need. So starting off level 1, we got Halo Blows and Step Aside. That's gonna be level 1. I'm doing this particular thing at level 1 because most of the characters that you use do not have access to Magic Mastery or Electromancy right off the bat. So we need to be able to at least kill the enemies that we come across. So stabs right off the bat. Now, having said that, if you do pick a character who does not start off with stabs and you need to make a trip all the way down to Manshire, you might actually be able to unlock Electromancy a little bit early. And if that's the case, so be it. Otherwise, let's just say, hey, theoretically, let's say we start off with stabs, or we've got it unlocked, but we never unlocked Electromancy. We'll just stick with stabs. So stabs, level 1, grab up these 2 skills. At level 2, I'm actually going to move this around. I just realized I put it on Battle Trance, and at level 2, if we don't have this stuff unlocked, Battle Trance doesn't really mean much for us. So instead, let's do Debilitating Hits at level 2. And then at level 3, again, maybe we don't need this at level 3, but we're going to get it anyway. And then it's going to lead into level 4, get Pathfinder, so we deal even more damage to enemies. And usually by that time, we are already in Manshire, and we're ready to pick up our Magic Mastery book and our Electromagnetic Treatise. Which leads us into number 5, which is going to be Jolt. Now that we have Jolt, we can 100% start taking full advantage of Battle Trance, which is great. Then at level 6, we'll get Seal of Power. You combine Seal of Power with the Jolt skill, we're dealing even more damage. At 7, I don't know if I need this at 7, but this is where I'm kind of getting a little hesitant on exactly what skills are important and what aren't important. But I figured, what the hey, right? If you can deal more damage with War Cry, so be it. But then again, there's also 8, which is great, and this skill over here, which is I put on at 15. Both of these skills are amazing, but it's so hard to determine whether you want this one, you want to come over here and unlock this. Like, they're really good, and that's the problem I have, is at this stage in the game, right around level 10-ish, I don't know where to go. I still think a heavy focus on athletics to get sudden lunge and elusiveness unlocked is really, really important to try to keep our skills off of cooldown as much as possible. But I digress. Again, level 7, let's just say we're going for Warcry. At level 8, I got us with Triumph. That way, every time we kill somebody, we're going to be getting extra crit chance. Level 9, we need to start diving into athletics. In my opinion, going to level 9 to get Disengage. Then level 10 opens up and we can get Dash. And now we want to dive a little bit more deeply into athletics to start increasing our defenses. So 11 to get Not This Time, 12 to get elusiveness because it should unlock on most of our builds by level 12. That's going to allow us to dodge the enemies when they're attacking us so much better, to get us to have at least one defensive skill. Then 13 for sudden lunge, 14 to make sudden lunge even better. Though in this case, you could opt to go for 15. It's up to you guys how you do this. But anyway, from there over to 15, which is now or never. Then at 16, I know we probably could have got this to add a little bit more weapon damage, but ultimately I was thinking, you know what, defense, we need defense. You know, it's nice to increase our weapon damage, but if we can't survive, who cares, right? We'll be dead. But 16, grab body and spirit. At 17, this is where, again, I don't know if we need this earlier or later, but yeah, getting Unwavering Stance helps boost our staff attacks. Down to 18 for Residual Charge. That also helps us with our weapon damage. And then from here, and then after that, not really too sure where to go. We went down here for 19, 20, 21, 22. That's about it. I mean, I don't think you really need this skill here unlocked at all. Now, as always, I can't stress enough, this is just an overview of what I did and some of the changes that I feel like I should make with my particular playthrough based on the things that I experienced. Having only one skill for defense, the elusive skill, it was kind of harder to maintain full stacks without moving around constantly. So keep that in mind. If you only have this to negate damage and you don't have enough base dodge, you will take hits 100%. So if you need to take one of these skills that we have and get brace for impact, if you think you need a little bit more defense, you can. Like I said, I did survive all of the dungeons that I went into. Starting at level, I think 15 or 16 is when I started my runs with tier 5 dungeons. And we did fine enough. Just take your time. But I hope you all found this guide to be helpful. If you did, if you end up using this build or you tweak it a little bit, feel free, comment down below. You know how it is. I love to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions about the builds that I put together. I will reply to each and every single one of them. If you have any questions, I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. If I said anything wrong about this build, if you have better ideas, again, just leave that comment down below. But as always, if you like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends and family, I'll catch you all next time. Bye.